Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me today on the Wellness Project with Des. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so excited about today's guest. Phung Tran is the founder of Be Active is Easy, which aims to help women, especially women of color, to gain confidence in their body image and establish sustainable, healthy habits to write a new chapter in their family medical history. As an immigrant to the US, Phung went through a period of adapting to the new culture in which she not only had to overcome the language barrier, but she also had to find a new way to fit being active in her new environment. She now guides women to be true to themselves and build happiness in the routines they do every day. So I'm really excited to talk with Fung about being active and how to get from sedentary to active. And I'm excited to hear her many tips that she has. I've been following her on social media and following her website and her blogs. And she is just a wealth of fantastic information. She is actually educated in exercise. I'm excited to talk with her because she's going to kind of debunk some fitness myths and talk to us about how we can find factual information because we know there's so many fads out there, there's so many diets, there's so many trends, there's so much fitness advice from people who are not qualified. So I'm really excited to speak with somebody who is actually trained and focuses on facts and science. So I think this is going to be a great episode. So here we go. Let's talk with Fung about fitness and getting active. Everyone, I'm so excited. I'm here with Phung Tran. She is an exercise physiologist, personal trainer, and founder of Be Active is Easy. Phung, I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yes, me too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. So, I have been checking out your website and your social media, like super impressive. I love it. I love your messages that you have for everybody. And I love that you do try to make being fit and active very easy. But before we get into all that, I want to just start right from the beginning. So, can you tell me and my listeners about your journey and what inspired you to start Be Active is Easy and why this is important to you?
I feel like a lot of people would say this, but, I'm inspired to do this because of my own personal, backstory. And, in high school, when I was going through puberty and everything, I didn't work out, I couldn't really like do anything, couldn't move my body around, but I ate a lot of stuff. Like I just love eating. And because of that, I quickly ballooned up. Like, I didn't feel happy with how I looked. And, it's just stuff happen. And, you have friends who, become like aware of the problem. I probably didn't back then, but apparently in high school I did. And so obviously, like a lot of young people, I would go online to find an answer to my problem. And the thing is, like, there's just so extreme about what I need to do. Like, there's this 30-day challenge, like 30-day push-up challenge. Like, you cannot eat this, like eat that. Like, personally for me, the biggest problem was like people were saying like I couldn't eat rice if I want to be healthy. And I'm like you hear my name or you look at my face and be like, that's what I eat every day. Like, who are you kidding? Like, that's not possible. It's just impossible. And especially when I was in high school, I was a kid. So just, imagine me coming up to my mom and be like, you know what, I'm not eating rice anymore, and see how that goes down.
Right, I'm sure that would go over really well.
And so yeah, I was just really mad. And so when I go to college, I just looking around, and then I had an amazing counselor who told me to major in a thing called exercise science, because I was interested in keep myself moving and actually doing the right things. And we apparently have that at the school. And so I majored in it, learn all about the anatomy, physiology, psychology of it, but also actually using myself as a test subject to that. And I actually succeed. Is now, and when the pandemic happened, I realized like, wow, not a whole lot of people kind of used to this change sort of thing, and they're struggling. And so that's why I started Be Active is Easy. And it's just saying that fitness or anything else, like just being healthy, is super easy, and you don't have to waste a lot of energy, efforts, or time and money into it.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. That's so true. What are some of the harmful effects of actually being inactive, not walking around, sitting on the couch all day, sitting at our desk jobs all day?
So for my audience, obviously we're young, so we don't see the bad effects like a whole lot yet. But you can feel like your skin wouldn't be as good, not as cleared, or you just feel down, sluggish throughout the day. But as we become older, like we all have to age at some point,
Unfortunately.
and then you can starting to see, there's a lot of risk factors that goes with not being active. So we're talking about things like scary things like obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, like all of those things. And one of the reasons why we see that on the rise is because people are living longer, but their quality of life isn't getting better because of all sort of disease. And one of the things we can do now is actually invest in our health now when we're younger, so that it's gonna be still more when we retire and actually try and enjoy life.
Yeah, yeah. And so something that I know you've mentioned before and something that I've noticed is that there's just, like you said, there's so much fitness advice online. Do this challenge, cut out this, cut out that. You have to do this exercise, you have to do this every day. So I like that, you're all about like the science approach to it and, facts. So what do you say to people when they're kind of online looking for things that they could do to be healthy? It's so hard to tell what they should do. There's all these like fitness fads and everything. So
Mhm.
where can people go to find real actual correct information?
That is actually a very hard question because obviously the internet is big. So I do know a couple of people who are doing the right thing. So like say I know like a doctor on Instagram who's like an actual exercise physiology person, like professor. He's conducting research on weight loss and stuff, so I can direct you to him. But also like a lot of good government websites, like especially in the US, they're actually like publishing their data and everything. So if you're like, I'm unsure about this, you can go and check. But for the most part, people know what they should be doing, but what we're like looking for is the easiest way to get there, like the least amount of
Mm-hmm.
time. It's just you don't have to do anything, and that's where we fall into the traps of everything out here. Like if you participate in this 30-day program, you don't have to worry about it for the rest of your life.
Right, right. Yeah, that's the issue is everybody wants that quick fix to pop that
Mhm.
pill, whatever, do that quick challenge. It's a lifelong thing. It's, something you have to do every week. And I like that you
Mhm.
also kind of tied culture into that too. So how you said, you were recommended like, cut out rice, but that's a part of your culture. So do you work with people as a personal trainer? Do you work with people around their culture? Obviously, some cultures mostly eat meat or mostly eat fish or rice
Mhm.
or what have you. Are you able to work around that? Because I know obviously only working out doesn't help, but you have to tie that in with what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, and it's all about proportions, to be honest. So like for
Okay.
me, I'm still eating rice, but it's you know only like a quarter of my meal. So I'm still getting what I want. So for other people, that's what I ask them. Like when we go to school, obviously school doesn't have as many examples of like spaghetti to like rice kind of thing. So
Right.
that's something that I ask them, like just proportion. Obviously you want a lot of vegetables, fruits, and then you can go like meats, and then you can go to like the carbs. So you just go slow and you divide it up. But starting out, you don't have to do the right thing at the beginning. Like you don't have to do everything perfect. You can start with one thing that you think like, oh, it's the worst thing that I've been doing. And for me, that was actually Oreos. At the beginning of the pandemic, I bought a big box of Costco Oreos. For me, like I was like, wow, I've been eating that thing like a package a day. Like that's not right. That's the biggest problem I was having. So I was just focused on just one thing. That's one priority that I have, which is starting to reduce it. Like not eating a whole pack. And then I started having like half of the pack down. Like just two pieces, and now I still have the whole box. I only half is gone.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, that's great. And I'm vegetarian now, and that's kind of what I
Mhm.
did. Like one year I cut out, beef, and then one year I cut out
Mhm.
turkey, and then the next year I cut out fish. And like I did it kind of like that, like
Mhm.
reducing kind of. So do you recommend that for people then to focus on one area and decrease that little by little and then move on to a new area?
Definitely, because we can't be multitasking, especially with things that is hard, like changing our habits is very hard. And we're hardwired to doing it. And so when you're trying to change it, just do one thing at a time. Like you can do one thing with food and then another thing with exercise, and another thing with your sleep. You shouldn't be like trying to do everything perfect at once, because yeah, you can do it. Like you have the motivation to keep that up for like 1 or 2 weeks, but then like that's gonna go out of the window pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's so true. That's great advice. So, as for you bringing up motivation, so a big part, obviously, of people not working out, not going for a walk, not being active is the lack of motivation. For some
Mm-hmm.
reason, when we know that something's really good for us, we just don't want to do it. We don't make the time. We don't make it a priority. It goes on the
Mm-hmm.
back burner. It's last priority. So,
Mm-hmm.
what are your recommendations or your advice for people to kind of build that motivation?
So I do have two approaches to that, but they all start with making things easy. Like depending on the person, somebody can be spontaneous, like they can just fit their walk, like just 15-minute walk in whenever they want. So that's fine. But if you don't feel like doing that, you can just walk around your home, starting out like 2 minutes every hour.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great. That's a great idea.
So like 2 times 8, which is like usually the time that we work, that's 16 minutes of you walking. So you
Right.
can build, so either you can, do everything in once, like 15 minutes of walking, you block that out in your schedule, or you can keep track of, just smaller bouts of session and then slowly build that up, because obviously 2 minutes at the beginning is easy, but then you get bored with
Hmm.
doing that, and then you're just starting to wanting more, like just leveling up on your challenges, and that's still pretty easy because now you're at the next level.
Right. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's great advice. I like that idea.
Oh, thank you.
So you think it's important to actually put it in your schedule, like write it in your planner or put it in your Google Calendar? Do you think that's helpful?
It is helpful to be able to track things, because you can see the progress. So either if you do it every hour, you can just put a check mark every hour, on your notepad, or, on whatever apps you're tracking, or 15 minutes a day. You still can, it's easier to track, obviously, but you can still see the progress of what you're doing. A lot of planners have like the weekly spread now, so that you can just put a check mark at, the hour mark that you do. So just seeing that results, like you can see that, oh wow, I'm actually doing the right thing, and your brain will feel better about it, like you feeling rewarded from what you're doing, and then you can be motivated to do more.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that I think that's a really great way for people to start out, that people that are pretty sedentary, don't really lead an active lifestyle, just to know, let's just start out with walking 15 minutes a day. Do you feel like even after they do start walking the 15 minutes a day, do you think that builds that momentum and builds that habit and motivation that people will want to do more?
Absolutely. Not just walking. So you do the things that you want. And in our example, it is about walking. But obviously, if you are somebody who hates walking, then I wouldn't recommend start with walking. But if you're doing the thing that you like, you would let then continue to do it, because it's like you're eating, the food that you want to eat, then you want more of that. And this thing is pretty good for you. Like walking is pretty great. So you should be more. But obviously, like for me, I don't walk. I can't walk. I hate it because I live, it's very hot outside, so I'm not walking at all. What I do at home, actually, I have an elliptical machine that I
Oh, okay.
would run on. So that's what I started with. You don't have to do the things that the examples that we're putting out. So we're just putting it out to make like it's easier to imagine in your head. But obviously, if walking isn't your thing, then you shouldn't be starting with that in the first place.
Gotcha. Okay. So just start with one activity that you kind of like, but you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to really go full in. You could start out slow and take it
Mm-hmm.
little by little. Okay. That's great advice. I like that a lot. So, have you noticed in your fields that mental health works in conjunction with physical activity?
Definitely. I actually helped with a small study when I was going to school with exercise psychology, to study how, people, especially beginner, respond to, just exercise in general. And it brings out the positivity, like, especially if like you have a research and you have a competition, obviously people wants to do it and people have fun. But it just brings out, it's help, it's not a cure per se, but it's part of your pillars that you can do to build a good life. That's what I've seen. Like, I don't want to people to be like, if you exercise it, then you don't have stress. And that's not true. If you have a toxic workplace, then you're still gonna have stress. Exercise can help alleviate a bit of that, but you still have this constant. Yes, it does help, but it's also, you have to take into consideration everything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like one piece of the whole
Mm.
puzzle of, your environment and everything. Yeah, that makes sense. Going back to motivation a little bit, why do you think it is that so many people struggle with motivation when it does come to fitness and being active?
For us, what we've been hearing is, you cannot keep motivation for long. We get bored of things, especially when people make big goals, like come in the gym like every day of the week or something like that. And so they have that big motivation, but it's not, if you're not working on the other parts of life, or it's just starting easy. That's why I recommend starting easy, because then you can work on the other parts of life around the new thing. So it's like you just making this, and then just over time, like just a couple of weeks, like when you, because motivation doesn't last for us, we promote discipline more. So if you discipline yourself, you're tracking, and that's when you start seeing results, because the results from exercise comes in pretty late. We're talking about 2 or 3 months into you actually doing things right and keeping it up. And so if you're losing, like you don't see any results now, even if you work out 7 days a week, then you're not going to keep doing it, because you lost it. You don't see the results. That's it. And so yeah, that's what we've been hearing. I don't know, you as a therapist would say about this.
Okay, yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think with that, just as for our society now, we really want that instant gratification, and you don't get that with working out. So that makes a lot of sense. It's much more delayed gratification.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But then that, that feeling of working out, boosting those endorphins, that feeling that it gives you after
Mhm.
that kind of almost high that working out gives you, I think that could be
Mhm.
helpful in motivation too. But just
Yeah.
getting to that point is, so hard. Like I hate working out. I do not like it. It's such
Mhm.
a struggle. It's painful for me. I don't want to do it. So to get myself to do it is
Mhm.
so hard. But once I start and I'm going, I'm like, okay, no, this is fine. And then, I'm like, oh, should I stop now? This is horrible, but then after I'm glad that I did it. But to get to that point is just me torturing myself because I don't like it.
Yeah.
I wish that I
Yeah,
did.
for us, we would promote exercise isn't pain. So you shouldn't be feeling any pain at all if you work out. Because if that is the case, and that means you're doing something wrong, that your body is trying to communicate with you that it doesn't like this thing. Because as like I said, everybody has their own thing. And if you're not a walking person, don't do it. Like for me, I'm not a treadmill person. I been on the treadmill like twice. Once was because I was trying it out, and the other was for my research project, and that's it. So like getting there is a pain. I don't like
Hmm.
it, but I like elliptical, so that's what I've been changing. So experiment with things so that it becomes less of a pain for you when you actually want. Because I mean, my clients, she started from like being just on the bed all the time, as she would study, she would do all her work in her bed, studying everything. And now like that crazy girl is actually I can't, like working out in 2 kickboxing classes like in a day,
Oh,
like 3
wow.
times a week. And I'm like, you're just crazy. Like I'm like,
Wow.
I mean, you do that, that's amazing for you, but like it took her 6 months to find that thing that she loves. Like she just loved kicking people. That's what she does. It gives her that endorphins that she needs. Now, like probably she comes in there, look at a target and be like, "That's person that I hate," and just start kicking the thing. That's how I feel. And that's what she likes. So yeah, maybe that's what we need to shift on. Like exercise is not suffering. It takes some time for you to put yourself in the routine and then find out the thing that you want to do in the first place.
That's awesome. That's really good advice for people. Can you give me and my audience a few like sustainable, healthy habits that they can implement today in their lives?
So I'm sort of alluding to this, but when you start making goals, making them like smaller, than they should be. So like things that, like just small inconveniences instead of, big goals like I need to lose 30 pounds or something. Like, don't do that. You're making smaller goals like, what can I do today? Like, cut out Oreos was one of my goals, 2 months into the pandemic. So those little things that you can do and can track. So remember, you have to keep track. So like once you make your little goals there, you can start tracking them. Because yes, the gratification comes late, but you can still see the small wins every day when you put in that check mark. Like that's just the little things that we like, patterns. Once you master that small goals, now you level it up. Don't be afraid to, challenge yourself. You went from level 0, like, and again, you went from level 0 to now level 1. Obviously you don't want to just play at level 0 anymore. You want to play at level 1 now. So making a little bigger goals. So for me, it was like, okay, maybe Oreo was good. So now I actually need to do some strength training because I love strength training and I couldn't do that at the beginning of the pandemic. So what could I do? And then you start on that. So just the smaller things, and you just rinse and repeat that over and over again. You just see, like a year from now, if you keep doing it, a year from now, you'll be surprised. Like my client, she just started working out twice a day for some reason.
Yeah, that was a big jump. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome that she
Yeah.
found something that she loved so much. Let's talk about body image a little bit. There are people that want to work out because of their fitness and their health, but then there are people that want to work out because they just have really low self-esteem and low confidence, and they want to have a socially acceptable body. So where do you think all these body image struggles are coming from? Why do you think so many people struggle with their body image?
I mean, it comes from both, traditional media and social media. I mean, even with guys, I would say one of my professors used to be like a models, and he would tell me he couldn't drink any water, any liquid, nothing, couldn't eat anything in 24 hours before the shoot, so that there's like no water within his muscle, so that his muscle would show up, like the definition would show up. 5 minutes after the shoot, he just start drinking, and then they disappear. Like all the definition disappear. And so
Wow.
as a guy, like person or a woman, you looking at that and you're like, wow, I need to get there. Like, but then that's not a real thing. He was just starving himself, like not drinking to do it. And in the age of social media, we might not have to go as extreme, like physically extreme, but like we have a lot of filters. Actually, with a lot of my female clients, one of the first practices I would ask them to send me pictures of people that they think look good. So they just send it over to me, and then we just, zoom in the background, see any swirl, any blurs in the background, any weird. And 9 out of 10, it was something weird
Wow.
happening in the background. And so you see that that's not even that person's real body. How are you going to get there? That's not even them. And
Mm-hmm.
seeing that, like those aren't real thing and actual, you can relate to it. So these are the people that you idolize and they're not even like that. Then you can start seeing like, oh wow, nobody's gonna know, like, it's not real. So I can't really get it because nobody have it.
I like that you do that with your clients. I've done that with my clients as well, because with my especially teenage girls that struggle with body image and their
Mm-hmm.
self-confidence, I will pull up pictures and celebrities, and they have those pictures of the celebrity before and after, all the filters and alters and everything in the Photoshop.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's shocking to them. And like, we know this in our brains. Like, we know that social media, the pictures aren't real, the videos aren't real. We know everything's edited and altered and filtered,
Yeah.
but still we see it and we still take it in, and we still take it in subconsciously. So I like that you point that out and say, like, look at this.
Yeah.
Sometimes seeing it for ourselves, it makes us, kind of recognize it
Yeah.
even more, and it make it stick a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially helpful when you idolize that person. Like you just go to their Instagram, there's just a trove of treasure for you to find.
Oh
And
yeah.
we can do it together.
Oh yeah.
It's not random people. That's somebody you like. You follow them, right? And then we can come in and see.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really great. Do you, as a personal trainer, do you have any other tricks or tips or advice that you use with your clients to help them with their body confidence?
a lot of it has happened over time. And I'm not a therapist, I'm not a trained therapist, so a lot of my clients, they come from general population, so they don't have body dysmorphia or anything. I see is that a biggest issue, I would not work with them, I would have to refer them out. And so usually with this it works because 90% of the population is just having this small little things in the back of their head that you brings it out, and they usually can see it. And I just have to repeat it over and over again. Like, you're the only person like critiquing yourself. Like, when was the last time that you look at somebody else's body and start judging? We don't do that in real life. And so we're like our worst critic. That's something that that's the next step that I will repeat to them. But if I see that my clients actually have to apply to work with me, and so if in the application and our call I see that they have a bigger issue, then I would have to decline working with them. And I have done that in the past. It's just they have a bigger issue that they need somebody else to help before actually coming to work with me.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's smart because I think also people with those significant like body dysmorphia, body image issues, I think that maybe even getting into a workout routine, it depends on the person, obviously, but that might
Yeah.
do more damage if they're wanting to do it every day kind of thing. And, there's people that will work out all day and, not eat and stuff. So yeah, you don't want to get mixed in with that and almost, encourage that, not meaning to. So yeah, that's really smart that you have them apply to work with you and you kind of have a call with them to go over that. That's great. And being a personal trainer, are any of your services virtual or do you meet with everybody in person?
Actually, 100% of my service is virtual.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because what I found is that starting at home is much easier. And then once we're over with our program, you usually like, I want the next level. That's when you can figure out what sort of gym you want to go to. Is it like, your normal Y, or is it your boutique gym, or is it that kickboxing gym? It takes a while, but when you build up the foundation at home, then you take less time to figure out what you want next for, your level 5, level 6 stuff.
Okay, great. Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. So that's really great for my audience to know that you're totally virtual and could work with them that way. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the thing is, for me, if you work with me, like we have a 3-month program. Once you're done, you don't need me again. Like, I don't want you to apply for my thing again. Like, I'm not like some business thing. And we're like over 3 months, we'll establish like routines that you can keep exploring. Like, I'm not limiting people to anything. And so once you build up that basic things, things that my body looks good in yourself, I'm eating right, I'm working out, now I need more. That's when you explore more and you actually spend the money where it should be, which is like to serve that next level things that you need.
Oh, great. And is that your Polish Your Possibilities program?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it's a 3-month program.
We'll work one-on-one together. Obviously phase 1 will be more all about body image. Like, I focus on that first, and then we can do a little bit exercises, but that's not the big focus. And then the next phase would be all about eating, that, because that's the biggest thing to weight loss. Actually 70%, like only 30% of weight loss has to do with exercise. So you
Wow.
want to lose weight. Yeah, if you do the math right, like I actually had to do the math to get my certification, and only 30%, like you have to calculate calories of how people run and stuff. You realize you have to run a whole lot to burn 200 calories. So might need to rethink that ice cream. So we got to
Wow.
work on diet next, actually, so that you're still improving your exercise, but that's still in the back burner. And then when phase 3 comes around, that's when we actually putting your foundation is pretty good, like things that you got it. And then that's when we start exercising, because your exercise is a way of introducing like stress to your body. You're working out, you're really tearing your muscles microscopically good. That's when we start with exercise, and then you're pretty good, and then you can go to the next level on your own, and you can figure out and experiment with things so that you don't have to feel the pain of working out again.
Okay, great. And it sounds like this program is pretty tailored to the individual then.
Mm-hmm. Super tailored, like 100% personalized.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. That's great for people to know. And can you tell us a little bit about your 4-pillar life standard? What is that?
Basically, L stand for lavish because you have to enjoy life. Fitness is not about suffering. You don't have to like, I need to go to the gym for 3 hours. If you love it, you can spend 3 hours at the gym. I actually did that
Oh my gosh.
once because I was like, I lost track of time. I just love it. It was my leg day, and I'm like, oh, it's been 30 hours. I guess I need to leave now.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
is that crazy? And then you put some intention. That's the I coming in. So you're actually doing the things that you like. It's not like, oh, everybody's doing that. This is challenge. It's like, do I like this? Do I love this? You gotta ask yourself, be honest. Like, if it's not something you want to do, then don't do it in the first place. We've been through a lot of PE classes, so you have a rough idea of things you don't want to do.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Oh
and
yeah.
then and then finesse, that's when you're just roughing out the edges, polishing your stuff so that you can then, okay, just getting better, becoming a better version of yourself while you're not sacrificing really your life, anything. And then it will be everlasting because obviously things happen. We have the pandemic, maybe you have, you move houses, you have this stress that's happening with work, and so just life just throws things your way, but actually being able to like pick it back up, and then still forgiving to yourself. Like, the things happen, so you can forgive yourself. Like, I forgive myself for not working out at the beginning of the pandemic because I'm like, I don't know what to do, but you
Mhm.
forgive yourself, and then you move back, like past that, and then you become, you're back into that first point, and then you become better and better.
Oh, great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love that. Well, Fung, this has been so great speaking with you. Do you have any final words of advice or wisdom to share with me or my listeners?
So yes, be fit is super easy and simple and cheap. Like, don't try to find the quick fixes that you think you need. Like, money doesn't solve all of your problem. This one is like, spending random, like on random pills isn't gonna magically work. Like, what you're doing, and then start small, and then you gotta get there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's great advice for people. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you so much, Fung, for joining me today. I loved speaking with you. I learned so much as somebody who just hates working out. I can't help it. I really hate it. It takes everything in me to try to work out, but I've been really trying to focus on fitness a little bit more. I've been trying to hike a little bit more, get outside. I've been trying to be active because this past year I was super sedentary at my job. I mean, I literally sat in a chair all day, every day on my computer in a room with the kids, and we just sat there looking at each other, and we couldn't really walk around the hallways or anything because we had to be in our little cohorts because of COVID. So going from super sedentary to trying to be active has been really hard for me. And I really liked Fung's advice on how to meet your body where it is and how to slowly integrate fitness into your life in small, healthy habits. So I really enjoyed speaking with her and I learned a lot. I had no idea that weight was actually more attributed to your diet than working out. I had no idea. I thought it was more of like a 50-50 split. So that was really interesting. And that made me really think about what I'm eating and the quantity because I normally eat pretty healthy, but I eat a lot. So I might want to work on that because my pants are getting a little tight. So I am trying to work out more because I am trying to be fit and just feel healthier. So I really appreciated Fung coming on. If you want to follow Fung and her advice, and her social media. All the links are in the show notes. Thank you so much, Fung. I really appreciated you coming on and educating me and my audience about fitness. All right, I will talk to you all next week with another amazing guest.